Hey, Junaid here. So let's make our polls usable. By that I mean let's make this a component, and the polls we created in our previous video will display it, and we'll be able to interact with that poll by submitting our vote. So after we submit our vote, we'll be able to see the progress, how many people have voted for that particular poll. So let's start by creating our poll component. Let's open up our polls view. And also open our index page so that we can extract the markup from there. So we'll need these both UIs, but for now we need the first one, this one. And we'll display this poll on our home page, the index page. And don't get confused with the static UI. So I'll add a margin here, a big HR, so that we know that this part is our static UI. So I add some. Okay, so this area is our component. So let's call it Livewire poll. So this is the actual markup coming from our poll component. Okay, this rest of this is static. Okay, now what we want is display the last poll entered here. So in our case, we have one poll. So if we have 10 polls, the last one has 10 ID 10 will display the 10th one in our case. Okay, so let's go and make that work. Open up the poll component. Okay, so when this component mounts, we want to get a poll. So we'll get the first one for now. And create a property. Okay. And assign this there. So we can directly assign it to the poll. We don't need this variable. Okay. So we'll have this poll and we'll display the title or the question here. Looks like I didn't import the model. App/poll. So this question is showing from the database. Now let's bring in our choices. So it will be a bit similar to our poll form. We'll have a choices array. It will be an empty array initially. Then we'll fill it with our choices. This dot choices equals to this dot poll choices, and we'll map it over the choices and create a new array. So map and we'll return an array with a text field choice dot text. Okay, we'll convert it to array. Okay, so let's iterate over this thing. Let's remove these. For each string choices as choice. So it's working. We know because it is not crashing. So we'll display the choice text. Choice text. So it will be choice text. Okay. So what I did here is not needed. Maybe we can do it like this, maybe, because if I do that, I can access the text property as an object. Okay. So this is similar. This is done. So next we'll do is display the remaining time. So poll ends in, let's say poll okay, it is a typo, I guess. HUMANS. So poll ends in 6 days from now. Okay, so what is this, you might ask? So since we created our model in the previous video, we cast it to a date time object, and basically what it does is it uh, converts it to or casts it to a carbon instance. Since carbon is out of scope for this video, so let's just briefly say that carbon is a class or a package that allows us to manipulate the dates and times easily. Okay, so diff for humans is a method in the carbon class that allows us to display dates like this. Okay, it calculates the dates and tells us that how many days or minutes we are away from the certain date. Okay, so let's move on. As soon as we click this button, we want to submit this vote, and we'll persist this information in another table we'll call votes. So we'll have to create a vote model. So let's do that now. So let's open up the votes migration. And what we want for our votes table, we define it somewhere. Yes, it is poll ID, choice ID, and user ID. Okay, so we want table, big integer, poll ID, and user ID. So we will assume the user ID for each submission. Okay, let's run the migration. And now let's move towards our poll component and create a method to submit a vote or cast our vote. Okay, so pubf cast vote, and we will pass the index of that choice or ID of that choice. I don't know. I think let's stick with ID. So ID, and let's bind it to the button wire click cast vote. We'll pass in the choice ID. Okay, so let's create the cast vote method. And ID. So what will happen? We'll create the models instance vote, and we'll set the field values. The poll ID is this dot poll ID, and vote choice ID and we are accepting it as a parameter. And then we will set the user ID here. Okay, we'll just make it static. And we'll save it. Okay, so as soon as we save the vote, we will change the UI to that progress bar one. But for now, let's leave it like that. Let's give it a shot and see if it works. Nothing happened. It means it might have worked. Let's check the database. So we have a poll ID, choice ID, and user ID. So as many users as possible can vote, but each user can vote once for each poll. So we'll check for that and change this UI based on if user has voted or not. Okay, so let's add a condition here. So let's uh, so assume we have some user. Let's create a user behind the scenes. I'm just creating a new user in my uh, table. Okay, let's now make this user logged in. Okay, so auth login using ID and we'll call it 1. So the user should be logged in now. So John Doe is logged in now and we don't have to hard code that username again. Anyways, so when the user mounts, we don't need it actually. We'll say auth user, auth ID. Okay, so and now let's add that condition auth. Okay, and we'll say end auth. So we'll display just this text that tells when the poll's ending and the poll's question. Okay, we won't show the buttons. So we'll have to log out then. Let's log out then. So that's a problem. When you are not logged in, we can't see the questions. By the way, when we are not logged in, we should not see the questions polls at all. But so we are doing something wrong here. Let's log in again and go back to our class. I didn't mean to do this. What I meant was we'll show only the ones that will only show these choices to those who haven't actually voted for the uh, poll. So instead of this, if so, we'll have to do something on the model level. So let's open up our user model. And we'll add a method here. Has voted. And we'll accept a poll ID that we are talking about. And we also have to create a relationship between the user and the votes. So we'll have a relationship there. Let's set it here. Votes and it can be a many-to-many relationship. Okay, so we'll have the same relationship over here. Users or voters. And we'll say has voted. We'll count the votes, or if this dot votes where count. I'm not thinking this, but this is definitely not the best way to check if certain information is in certain table. So bear with me. So if I say if auth user has voted, I want to say if it yes, give it a refresh, and we haven't passed the ID of this poll ID. Okay, I knew something's off. Has many. Okay, this has voted. Suppose if I change the ID in the database, I'm doing it on the second screen. Don't worry. So I'm changing the user ID to 2. And so this is sort of working. And I changed it back to 1 for the current logged in user, and it is showing. So this is working. So where is it? I'd say if not the current user voted, then display this. Okay. We won't show the choices if this user has already voted. We only display the progress or the number of votes received only. Okay, so this UI, we can have a partial, I think. So let's create a partial. Touch resources views. Let's create partials directory and create this view. So let's open up our partial poll votes, and we'll paste in the markup. So let's loop through all choices for each string choice as string choice, and for each. Okay, so now we'll have to display it. We will display it after we know that we have voted, and it will display in the else condition. Okay, so it will be included here, partials dot poll votes. So let's give it a shot and see what we get. There we go. So this is static data. We'll just have to fill in. So poll votes, it will be string poll, choice text. I made a typo here. So you can see. And how do we count these votes? So for each poll model, or choice model, we want to count the votes against each choice. So we'll create a relationship here. Votes this dot has many votes class okay, return. And can we count these votes here? Let's just display the count here alongside the text. So we have voted for this one. If we check our database, yes. So if I create a fake data or fake vote, I'm doing it on the second screen. You can't see it, sorry. Duplicate a row without keys. Okay, so I will add another answer. So there's another user. So if I refresh, we have 2 votes, okay? And if I create some more for other values so that we can have a definite answer to which one's getting more votes, and then we will calculate a percentage. Let's add one more. So we have 1 for YouTube, 2 for Twitter. So we have total of 3 votes for this poll, and let's do some calculations. So we'll count the total votes on the poll. Let's see if we can get the total count of the votes from the poll model. Let me display this here. Poll votes count. So if it works, we should see 3. So we don't have a binding or relationship on the pole model. Let's open that up. Or we have it, I think. Pole model. No, we don't. So let's add a relationship here. Votes. This has many votes. Class. So we have 3. So this will give us a chance to calculate the percentage on each of these. Okay. So we do it. It's pretty easy. I know it is a bit messy, but bear with me. So we'll count the votes for this choice divided by total, and we'll multiply it with 100. So we have some numbers almost accurate, and we'll move this code to the choice. Maybe I don't know where it belongs right now, but we'll round this code to 2. So we have rounded it to 2 decimal points, and since this works, we can add it here. I don't know we need this here or not, but I'm adding this. Okay, so there we go. So this is working now. So that's it for now. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.